I think it's fair to say that if you have a TV show or a movie based on a book or video game, and it makes you excited to revisit that source material, yeah, I think you got something good on your hands.
Okay.
So Netflix dropped their new exclusive series, The Witcher, on Friday. I have been watching it over the weekend, and I just finished the last episode, and so this is kind of my immediate reactions and kind of like my quick off-the-cuff review of what I thought of the first season of the new series. So The Witcher originally started off as a book series written by Andrzej Sapkowski. Apologies if I butchered that name. For context, this is coming from the perspective of someone who has played the games and has not read any of the books. I've played the games. I've only completed the third Witcher when I had it on PC, and that's what the Netflix series is more so based on. However, that being said, as someone who is a big fan of the games, this definitely still does a really solid job at representing its source material. Right off the bat, I think one of the bigger concerns that some people had was the fact that Henry Cavill was going to be playing Geralt of Rivia, and whether it's because of Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, or the weird case that some people were making that Henry Cavill is too pretty to play as Geralt, whatever the reasoning for being hesitant as him playing Geralt, I can assure you he hits this role out of the park, and it's almost like he was born to play this character. In fact, when I heard that he was originally casted to play as Geralt, it made me really excited because he actually was a big fan of the games. He played the games and he really liked it, and then he found out that they were actually a book series as well. He loved the books, and he basically, from my understanding, kind of kept asking to play this character, and yeah, I think because he respects the source material so well and is actually legitimately knowledgeable and familiar with the character Geralt, it really shows, and it really comes through as a very genuine, authentic performance. Everything from like little nuanced facial expressions to how he talks. I mean, it sounds silly, but the voice that he does as Geralt is spot on. It is such a good representation of what the character is in the games. Every scene that he's in, he just kind of steals the show. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Henry Cavill is probably the big highlight of this series, and for good reason. Geralt of Rivia is a badass character, and he fits this role perfectly. The supporting cast is also really top-notch. Anya Chalotra is a great Yennefer. A lot of people kind of complain that she doesn't look exactly like Yennefer as they're familiar with. I think she fits the role just fine. She represents a Yennefer that I'm familiar with, and especially how she acts in front of the camera. Yeah, she commands respect, and she has this like sort of powerful, charismatic presence about her. Her whole attitude as the character is really spot on. Everything about her personality screams Yennefer. Personally, I think her looks are fine too. I don't think there's really anything wrong with her casting as the character of Yennefer. Joey Beatty plays a wonderful Dandelion. He's kind of a sidekick character a lot in this first season and is responsible for sort of hyping up the Witcher's legend. Basically, whenever him and Geralt were together bantering in a scene, I was laughing every time. As far as the plot for the story goes, it's very apparent that this season is an introductory season. I mean, you basically, right off the bat in the beginning, have Ciri, and she's basically just told, you must go find Geralt of Rivia. Basically just kind of cuts back and forth between Geralt and his adventures, and Ciri trying to find Geralt, and then introducing Yennefer and how she kind of became to be herself. Some people might find the plot a little slow, but I think anybody who's a fan of the Witcher series will really enjoy this first season. It's just a lot of fun to kind of see how things sort of come to be. It honestly kind of feels very similar to that of The Mandalorian, where the story kind of takes this almost video game-like approach. Especially with Geralt, it feels like you're following a part of the main story, and then another episode will happen, and he's off doing some sort of side quest to kill a different type of monster. Regardless of whatever that particular episode is about, each episode stands really well on their own and is a lot of fun to watch. And one last thing, whoever is the person who does the sword fighting choreography, my goodness, this is seriously some of the best sword play that I've ever seen on any sort of TV series or movie. The fighting is awesome, and the choreography in particular is really well done, and it's paired really well with the editing, because you can have good choreography, but if the editing isn't very good, then it doesn't do it justice. The two work seamlessly together, and it's very entertaining. Every time there's sword play going on, I get really excited, and it's a really fun experience to watch. In its defense, having an hour or a little bit more than an hour long in runtime per episode allows each episode to really breathe and allows you to kind of digest more of the characters and kind of get introduced to the lore, and really each one is kind of like their own standalone movie. You know, very similar to how Game of Thrones kind of wrapped things up when the episodes got to really long lengths. But with the long run time that it has per episode, it can really make the pacing seem very slow at times. You know, I was trying to stay up late over the weekend and try to just kind of cram as much of this as I could in the littlest amount of time possible. And there were definitely times where I'm like, dear God, I have to get through like an hour and 5 minutes of this, and I am just ready to fall asleep. I've always preferred half-hour run times. I think it is a lot nicer to quickly sit down and watch something in a half-hour setting than an hour-long setting. It's not a deal breaker, but it's, you know, it's just a minor annoyance or a minor complaint. The show kind of has a tendency to introduce something new to the viewer and leave them to either interpret it for themselves or just not explain it very well. I have been watching this series with my wife, who is not a gamer and has not read any of the books. She seems to be following it fine, but there were definitely a few times where she'd be like, wait, what just happened? Or why did this happen? But I think overall, if you've either read the books or if you have played the games, you'll be totally fine. And even if you aren't familiar with any of those, if you can do something like follow Game of Thrones, and even though you didn't read the books with that, I think you'll be A-okay with The Witcher. But ladies and gentlemen, overall, I actually really enjoyed The Witcher. I thought it was a great first season. I think it represented the video games really well, and from what I've heard from people who've read the books, it does it great justice. Yeah, this might be the best video game adaptation we have seen yet. Now that I think about it, the animated Castlevania series was my top pick for video game adaptation, and now it's The Witcher. So Netflix is apparently killing it with video game adaptations. I would say this is definitely worth paying for a month of Netflix to watch the series, and it's definitely worth checking out if you already have it. I can't wait to see what they do with this series, and hopefully that means a Witcher 4 will be happening too, as far as video games go. I would love to know all of your thoughts and opinions. If you've seen the show, or if you played the games or read the books, let me know all of your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. If you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up, as it really does help out a lot in terms of the YouTube algorithm and getting our video seen by the public. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell notification. We're trying to get as close as we can to 100 subscribers by the end of 2019. If you have a friend who likes the Witcher series or is considering checking it out, maybe share this video with a friend. Any and all support that we get is always greatly appreciated. But that's enough rambling from me. This has been a Digital Cynics experience. My name is Blake, and for all things tech, games, movies, and other nerdy things in between, please be sure to subscribe to Digital Cynics. Have a good one, everyone.